You just loaded up TM Talk, the one pod to learn it all. I'm Professor Tommy.
And I'm Professor Ashley. Whether you're new to the Pokemon TCG or a seasoned trainer, we're here to help you level up your play, master the rulings, and grow your community one episode at a time.
Hello and welcome to another awesome episode of TM Talk. I'm here joined once again with Professor Ashley, the most awesome podcast co-host anyone could ever have.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Yeah, and today we're going to talk about something really cool. It's going to be another entry into our I Want to Be series. This is I Want to Be a Pokemon Professor. So we're going to identify what you should think about before you become a professor, why you want to be a professor, and what you need to do to actually become a Pokemon professor. And then we'll talk about all the things that come afterwards. So pretty awesome episode. We're looking forward to talking about this. But before we get started, let's just check in. Ashley, how you been doing so far?
I've been doing pretty good. Just exhausted from working, and they've been having me run back and forth a lot lately, so I'm exhausted from that. And then we just had 2 challenges back to back. I got to play in one, and then I ran the other one, so I feel like they went pretty well. The one that I played at, I went 3-1, so I was excited about that. I picked up a deck about 3 days beforehand, and I was like, you know what? I want to play something fun. I didn't want to play a super meta deck, and I did pretty well with it, so I was excited about that. And our challenge the other day went pretty well. I felt like we didn't really have too many problems, just a couple judge calls, not anything too terrible. And even with the new time rules, I still feel like it went pretty well. What about you? How did you feel about them?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah, so like you mentioned, right, we had 2 challenges back to back, one for our August, and then the one for our September. So I got to play in both. Lucky me. So August, I did 2-1-1, which isn't bad. I think I finished out 5th after all. Like I bubbled out of the top 4 to get points. But I think it ran pretty smoothly. But once again, that was underneath the old rules, the +3 turns after time, which I don't think we had a lot of overtime in that one. And then the September challenge, I played and got, I think we had 4 rounds, so I went 3-1. Felt good about that. But with the new time rule, I really didn't see a difference because I don't think we had a lot of people going 2 time, and maybe that was the change of people changing up decks, playing something that's a little bit faster, or just it just happened that we all finished naturally. So I think it went pretty well though. I was happy both times with my play, but I did get caught up a little bit about, hey, could I have done better? Could I have done this? Could I have done that? And I actually saw a X post by someone who was kind of talking about the same thing a little bit about, hey, getting caught up in the emotions of competing. And even though you played really well, maybe you dropped one game, maybe that took you out of contention for points. And that can really mess with your mind. So even though you only lost one game, you think, oh, I suck, or I didn't do so great. Or, like, why am I playing this game? I'm not supposed to be doing this or anything like that. So, which is definitely not fair to do to yourself. It's not good for your mindset at all either as you play. You really should take a step back, look at the quality of play you did, look at how well like a record of 3-1 or 4-1 or whatever you went with just one loss is outstanding. But it just shows the level of competition that's out there, maybe at your league or maybe just in general, right? That maybe that one loss was keeping you, bubbling you out of contention. And then you can talk about, well, hey, then that's awesome. My league has a lot of great competition that I can practice with, get better with. I think that should be the main focus. That's why I try to focus on these, between the challenge in August, the challenge in September. I changed up my thought process of what I wanted to play, what I wanted to come out there and do. And I feel like I did a lot better in the second challenge. So hopefully if anybody has a chance, or maybe they're struggling with that, they can kind of keep that in mind and think about, hey, what instead of focusing on did I get points or not, focus on how well you played, how well did you do. So I'll get off my soapbox. We could save that for another episode, right? We could talk about all that kind of stuff. But I think today we want to jump into what it takes to be a professor. So, hey, as we think about it, Ashley, what's the first thing? Let's say that I'm playing, I'm a player, or maybe I'm a Pokemon parent, and my kids love to play Pokemon, and I say, hey, you know what? To be more involved, maybe I should become one of these professor things. What does that entail, and what is the first thing I should think about if I want to do that?
So, one of the first things, like, I know for me personally, and I feel like if you want to become a professor, you kind of need to think about a few different questions. The first one is like, why do you want to become a professor? Do you have, like you said, do you have kids that are really into it and you want to be a part of it? Um, is there another person, professor, that is running the league by themselves and you want to help them, which was part of why I became a professor. Um, there's a lot of different reasons why you could become a professor, but I think taking that first step into asking why you want to, um, because as a professor, we really have to reflect a lot about how things went, how things go, looking towards the future. And so taking a step to think about those things beforehand is definitely a good step in the right direction. Another thing is like, what do you expect to get out of it? Do you expect only to get like super cool stuff, or do you really want to try and like grow your league? Like for me right now, one of the biggest things that I want to do is I want to help grow the league, and I want to make sure that everybody has a place to play and that they feel comfortable playing at. And that's one of the biggest things that I try to do is make sure that everybody feels included. And I can definitely tell that there are people that don't play meta decks that are comfortable enough to come play their non-meta decks because I'm so open about it. So are you one of those people who likes to help people feel comfortable? That's a good thing to do. Um, and then the next one is, how do you think you can positively impact the community? For me, it's just making sure that everybody feels comfortable, um, and just to make sure that everybody's included.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's definitely one of the key aspects, right? Is part of Pokemon's main goal is to make sure that everybody feels included to enjoy Pokemon however they see fit. If they want to play the game, they can play the game. If they want just to collect, they can just collect. If they enjoy Go or the video game or even Unite, um, how can we safely give them a place to enjoy that and meet others who enjoy it as well? Um, so I think that's one of the major aspects, and to know that that's what it is to be a professor, right? To understand the core values of being a professor, and what does that mean to you, and how does that really fit that in your lifestyle, or does that fit in the way you act around Pokemon now? Because those four core values of Pokemon Professor program is integrity, honesty, responsibility, and professionalism. And you have to, and as you're a professor and you're in your professor role, or anybody who knows that you're a professor and are involved in a Pokemon event or anything like that, you have to kind of embody these four core values and make sure that no matter what interaction people have with you, you give off these core values. So that way, you better reflect on your league, on yourself, on the Pokemon program in general. Um, so that way people feel comfortable and feel open to talk to you and to be able to ask you questions about Pokemon, and then also that they can just respect you and know that you're going to be fair and down the middle as you organize or judge or anything else for any kind of Pokemon events out there. So those are really some of the big things you have to kind of think about before you do it. It's not just taking the test and saying, okay, cool, I'm a professor. Now I get to dive into all this other cool stuff. It's really having a care and a want to make the Pokemon community that much better. Either whether it's you locally or you growing and wanting to support the community as a whole on bigger stages, like as regionals, internationals, worlds, things like that. All those kind of depend on you and what you want to do. So Ashley, like just you touched on it a little bit, but kind of tell us what gave you the catalyst to become a professor.
One of the biggest reasons that I became a professor was to help you because when we I would had just moved back to Enid, and you guys were in the process of transitioning from the library to an actual shop. And you took the liberty of being the first one to actually become a professor and start doing things. And I felt this would be a good way for me to not only help you, so you weren't the only one, but also as a way for me to learn a little bit more about the rules and how things run. So I could also, that was one of the biggest things, but I also wanted to make sure that we grew our community that was already started, because we started it as a pretty small community and we've grown to a pretty good amount. We've had people kind of come leave and come back whenever they have the time, but for the most part we have a good consistent little group, which is awesome. But I'm hoping that we can still continue to grow, and that's one of the goals that I have.
Yeah, for sure. And that's my goal too, because I decided to become a professor because we did have a group. I can't say a league because it wasn't officially a league, but it was a group of players that got together in the library. And we would play Pokemon, play TCG or whatever. And then I kind of saw that we were kind of on the precipice of taking that next step to be an actual league. We're at a small town, so we had one card shop that was about to open. We found out about it. We're like, oh, you know what? We need to become a league so we can kind of host real championship events. People were starting to play and wanted to start competing. And my kids were really involved in Pokemon. They loved it and still wanted to play and wanted to get better. And I saw that they were interacting more with kids that had the same interests as them. And I saw this as a great positive thing to continue to do. So I decided, okay, cool. I'm going to go ahead and take this test. I took the test, became a judge first, and then realizing that, oh, wait, I need to be an organizer so we can actually run events. So then I took the organizer test. So like kind of like I didn't really know what I was getting into when I first started doing it. I just knew that, oh, we need to be a professor to become a league. Okay, great. Let me take that test. Okay, cool. Let me do this. But not really like looking into it. Luckily though, there's a lot of stuff out there online now that you can find and resources that are available. And then we had a lot of great professors in our area, or like, that we would travel to, like we would travel to cups and challenges at other locations. I got to know some of the professors there and got to hear their stories and why they did it and kind of have them as a resource for it. So that really did help me out in being and knowing what to do as a professor and becoming a professor. So um, to not be like me and kind of jump in feet first or head first and and kind of learn as you do. What kind of things should we look for, or what should we do when we want to start applying to be a professor, Ashley?
So you definitely need to figure out, like, and do you want to run the events or do you want to just judge? Do you have other people, other professors in your area, or are you going to be the solely only person running these events? Because if you're going to be the only one, you definitely need to make sure you're an organizer. But if you already have somebody that's an organizer and you just want to help judge every once in a while, definitely look into the judge. Do you know the rules of the game that you're applying for? um, because there's different tests for the TCG and the VG and Go now. Um, so, do you know the rules of the game that you're trying to apply for? Because they all have different rules, and I can say from experience, I don't know a whole lot about VG, but I've already tried the test, and it's hard. But if you learn about the rules, it will make it a lot easier. So you can find different rules and regulations on playpokemon.com. They have tons of resources that you can look through to get started, to look through for TCG, Go, VG, whatever your preference is that you're wanting to do. They have the TCG rulebook on tcg.pokemon.com. And then where do you go to apply, Tommy?
That's a great question. So now you go when you want to apply and you looked at everything, you want to play, or what you want to do as far as a judge or an organizer. and you figured out what game you want to kind of focus on, maybe you go to professorprogram.pokemon.com. That is the pretty much the website of everything to do with Pokemon professors. If you are already a professor, you can go there, log in, and you get access to a lot of different content. Like you get live feed boards. That's where all the staffing events applications are posted. So if you ever wanted to be a professor at a regionals or internationals, you would find those there and apply straight from that website. You can actually even find other professors in your area. So maybe if you're alone and unafraid in the middle of nowhere, and you want to be like, hey, who's the closest person to me that I can ask for help, or maybe I need another judge, you can actually go and find a locator, and it'll show you where other judges are located at, and you can actually reach out to them and message them and say, hey, would you be willing to help me out and maybe staff a cup for me with me to help me out. So that's a great resource. If you're not a professor but you're trying to be, you can still go to that website, professorprogram.pokemon.com. Up at the top, you'll find a couple different tabs, which will be about the professor program, which is a great kind of talks about the ranking structure that the professor program has. And then it also says there's another tab that says apply to become a professor. You go to that tab, and they'll kind of talk to you about what it is to apply. And there's going to be a little button that says "Let's begin," and that's going to take you straight to your for you to take the test to become a professor. So pretty much right now, currently, how it is, because they just changed all these rules recently and how the application process is for the professor program. So it was at first you take a test, 10 questions, and then you go and once they review that and a background check, you become a professor. Now, you actually have to take a certification course, which is a Pokemon 101. So it's like a learning module that you can take. And then at the end of that module, there's a test for you to take on that. Once you complete that test and then they review your application, if they approve it, then you'll be qualified to become a professor. So before we jump into what does it take for you to become a professor, I just want to talk a little bit about when you're picking your roles as far as an organizer or a judge. Know that as a Pokemon professor, you don't have to be tied to a certain league. So we do have roving professors as well. So if you are a person who just wants to kind of bump up your knowledge and help other Pokemon communities, you could definitely work with other leagues, jump from league to league to league, help them out whenever they have their events. So that's another way you can kind of gain experience as you become a professor, or maybe that's how you can kind of help out your community is by being that extra body at a league. If you have a lot of little leagues that are around you, but maybe there's only one professor there at a time, you can jump in and help with them. But let's talk about what are the prerequisites, the ticks you need to mark off to become a professor.
So, first thing is all applicants must be 18 or older. That is one of the biggest things. And then obviously, if you're already playing in a league, you should already have a Pokemon Trainer Club account and a player ID. But if you don't, and you're just jumping right into it, like kind of like Tommy did, you have to make sure that you have a Pokemon Trainer account and a Pokemon ID. And then from there, you have to do the background check and you have to apply.
That's correct. So, hey, so we applied. We took the test, we took the module, and we passed. And they reviewed everything and they said, hey, yes, welcome aboard to the Pokemon Professor program. What's next in your professor journey?
The next thing that you're going to do is you definitely need to make sure that you're staying caught up with all the rulings. They change these from time to time. So just make sure that you're staying up to date with anything that's changed, just like this year or this season, they changed the time rules. So if I wasn't caught up with that, I wouldn't know. And I would probably be in trouble trying to run an event. So definitely make sure that you're staying caught up with all the rulings. You can also attend the professor seminars on the Pokemon Professor University. They have different courses that you can take as well. if you think you need a little bit more knowledge about one specific area, it's nice because they have different courses for those areas. And if you have any other questions or whatever, you can send it in and say, hey, I need this. Is there any way that we can possibly get a course in the future? Because they're always looking for improvements. Another resource is Com- Compendium. Did I say that correct?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, the compendium.pokegym.net. That is one of the biggest things. You can go there for different rulings. Like if you're trying to figure out how this card interacts with this card, some of the older cards, they're going to have the same rulings. So if you're unsure, you can go there and check because most likely it's already out there. Another one is the Professor Discord. If you're a professor, you go in there and you cannot actually access anything until it registers that you have actually a professor. Um, so once you're in there, then you can get on there and they have live help. So if you're ever running a challenge or a cup and you really need some help and you're really unsure if you're the only one, you can do that. There's card rulings. There's a whole bunch of stuff in the Discord and it's awesome. Another resource is also just other professors. If you have other professors in your local area or your state, make sure that you're talking to them because they will become a resource. Um, just for me, like when I first started, I always asked Tommy, hey, how do I do this? And Tommy was a great help. And I know we have some other professors that if I asked them for help, they would definitely help me as well.
Yeah, for sure. One thing you should know about anything with Pokemon, as we've stated multiple times in our previous episodes, is community, right? So we have a big community. The professors in the Pokemon program all are a big community. So definitely attending those seminars, getting to know each other, getting to know other professors, going on to the professor program website, finding that locator to find other professors near you. And also understanding who your regional professor coordinator is, your RPC. There's a main professor for each kind of region of anywhere you live. So you can definitely find them as well. They'll be a great source for information and guidance as you continue down your professor journey. So definitely understand there's a community out there. There's people there to help you, who have your back. Um, so use them. Use that community to help you and to keep you going, right? Because your success is their success. Because if you are successful, your league is successful, the community is successful, the Pokemon program is successful all the way down the line. So um, yeah, I mean, that's all we're here for, is for help. So if you want to reach out, I'm gonna do the shameless plug right now. If you want to reach out to us, you could definitely reach out to us and ask any of your questions or anything like that at all. We are on we're on X, our TM Talk podcast. We're also on YouTube, TM Talk podcast. And you can also reach us by email at tmtalkpodcast@gmail.com. You reach out to us. Feel free to link up with us. And if you have any questions, send them in. Let us know, and we can definitely cover it on our next episode. But yeah, so definitely finding out those other professors, and especially the Discord, I think is probably the number one tool that's out there for professors. And I think it's a well kept secret because I've ran into a lot of professors that don't know about it, but it's a huge community. I mean, and this is ran by major professors who have been in the professor program for a very long time. It's almost viewed as like an official professor uh, information source, and it is, because it's, there's a live emergency help. So if you're ever in a tournament and you run into a ruling or an action or some kind of situation that you never ran into before, don't know what to do, or just want to bounce ideas off of somebody else, you could go to that live emergency help in that Discord channel, and you could reach another professor in seconds, and they can help you, walk you through the process, figure out what you need to do, or any of that kind of stuff. So it's definitely awesome to have that information there.
And it's great because there's always professors available because it's all over the world. It's not just in your
Yep.
region. It's literally all around the world,
Yes.
which is amazing.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's 24/7 live emergency help. They actually have professors that monitor that channel all the time, 24/7. So definitely anytime You need that help during a tournament. I will express during a tournament. Please go ahead and put those questions in there. There's other channels too where if you just have a general question, you're like, oh hey, you know what? I never ran into this before, or this is a new card. How do I deal with this? There's other channels that you can access to there as well. So, pretty awesome source, you know. So I think as we talked about next steps, like, hey, I just became a professor. I found out all this different cool stuff. I went on Professor's University, took a whole bunch of courses about deck checks and running my own tournament and all kinds of cool stuff. Let's actually jump into it and let's be a professor. Let's do what we're supposed to do as professors, and let's host that first event. How does that go, Ashley? What do you think about that? Do you remember anything specific from your first event that you judged, and kind of what stuck out to you during that time?
I do remember my first event. Luckily, I had you there to help me because I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Um, but definitely, like, before you jump into your first challenge event, whatever event that you jump into, make sure that you know how to run your Tom, your play tools, all of the things that we have to make sure that we know how to run. Because if you don't, you don't you want to try and minimize as many problems beforehand as you can. So if you can make sure that you do like a little run through of how you go through like Tom or whatever, that would be one of my biggest things, because if I wouldn't have had you, I would have had no idea how to do that. So I was really thankful. That was one of the biggest things. Just learning how to do things and just learning how to run things, because you have to remember to tell all the players like exactly what format it is, how long they have, all the rules, how many rounds they have, and then you have to make sure that you're keeping track of time and also doing judge calls, especially if you're by yourself. It can be overwhelming at first if you're by yourself. So if you can, it would be probably really beneficial if you could try and just kind of co-host with somebody for your very first time. I would highly, highly recommend you doing that. Unless you've done this like in the past and you're just getting back up started. But if it's your very first one, definitely want to co-host, I would say.
I was gonna say I totally agree with that because there is a lot that you have to kind of know and do, and even if you read that tournament handbook, there in there it kind of walks you through on how to kind of run your own tournament and things like that, and kind of what you're supposed to say and what players should know and what is the professor's responsibility to let players know and all those kind of things. But it's a lot. It's a lot to handle. It's a lot to do. It's a lot to kind of get into a. You have to kind of get into a rhythm when you host events, right? There's a rhythm to it of all that kind of stuff, and I would definitely recommend co-hosting your first event with another seasoned professor. That's what I did when I became a professor. Like the friendly tournaments and stuff that we ran, I did by myself. It was kind of like learn as I go kind of thing, and people were just there to have fun anyway. But when we're getting close to actually hosting championship events, like challenges, I actually did reach out to another league and said, hey, do you mind if I just kind of piggyback with you guys and help you judge this event? And you can kind of walk me through like what are the do's and don'ts? Because it's always great to have that because you can see how somebody else does it. You can get some insight. And you can kind of get that knowledge without having to worry that you're it right for that event. So hopefully you're doing it correctly. Um, but yeah, and as you move up to your challenges and your cups, you'll just get that rhythm a lot. I think the number one thing that I always try to do, and I kind of try to pace my tournaments around, is how they host regionals and internationals. The organizer for those tournaments, I always listen to their announcements, try to hear what they're saying, especially before the whole tournament starts, and in between rounds and what they say and all those kind of things. So I kind of try to pick up on those things and try to put those into my repertoire. So when I do these events, I'm making sure I'm not missing anything, and I gave as much information as possible. That's what I like to do. That's why I talk a lot. I try to give as much information as possible. So, um, anything else you want to add on that one, Ashley?
I think that was pretty good. Just be aware, like, you know that you're eventually gonna have to give your first penalty. That's gonna be a given. Eventually, you're gonna
Hmm.
have to. Hopefully, it's not your first event, but if it is, just make sure that you're going over how to handle those, um, and then giving out like your first prizing. There's different calculators. Like we use one for the prize packs. It's leymd.com/prize calc. We use that to figure out how many prize packs we give for our players. You can do it however you see fit for your league. We typically do 2 packs per player for challenges and 2.5 packs at a cup. But we, for our league, and now everybody is going to be different. But for ours, we typically make sure that we give one prize pack to every player that enters, because that's our way of showing appreciation to, hey, thank you for coming to our events, and that way everybody continues to come to our events as well.
Yeah, for sure. Let's rewind a little bit here because I know you the hardest part of being professor, especially at a tournament, is that first penalty, right? Um, and it's a tough one. I mean, I remember my first penalty. It was off of an Iono. They Ionoed and shuffled their whole hand into their deck. So that was a big one. That it's a hard one because according to the guidebook, all that kind of stuff, you know what it is. That it's a game loss because you can't fix that because there's no way to verify unless there's always exceptions, right? Like unless the opponent can verify, hey, yeah, they had XYZ in their hand, these cards, because maybe they played a card that revealed their hand to them or something to that effect. But and most of the time, and in this time specifically, it was a game loss because there was nothing else to understand that. So there's a great course on Professor University that covers giving penalties and kind of what you need to do when you do your investigation. Walking up to the table, taking note of the time, hearing both people's story, understanding what's in question and what happened, and then understanding the play, where the infraction was, and then can you rewind the board state, or do you need to rewind the board state to make sure you take away any advantages that the infraction gave to somebody to make it as fair as possible, and so you can continue on with the tournament. So there's a lot of stuff in there to think about. So I would just highly suggest look at those resources on Pokemon.com. There is a penalty rule book that kind of walks you through that whole process, and then looking at that course on Professor University is really really good to kind of give you that first steps into it. Um, but going away from the negative of being a professor and giving penalties, giving prizing is so rewarding because that's what everybody came for, right? They want to get the good stuff. They come to the tournaments so they can get those prize packs and things like that. And luckily, so far, currently, Pokemon does not put any restrictions on how you give out your prize packs. So it's really up to you and your league and what you think is best and what's going to help boost your league and your attendance. So it doesn't have to be held. It doesn't have to be given out just for events. You can give them out for whatever you see fit. If you just want to give them out for people who are attending league, just for showing up to a league day, great, do that. What I like to do is I give out prize packs. Most of the time, if I see somebody going above and beyond to help somebody else out at a league, so like I have uh, mostly with the kids too. Like the kids will kind of try to help a new kid who comes in who doesn't know maybe Pokemon, or they try to teach them, or just be extra welcoming to that person and making sure that they feel welcome and that they're helping them out and answering any questions they have. I give them a prize pack for that. I also like to do quizzes during our leagues and cups and things like that. I'll do some Pokemon trivia. Anybody who gets something right, I'll give a prize pack out for that. I also do during league days. We have 3 professors at our league, so I say that uh, anybody at all who plays us and they beat us, they get a prize pack as well. Um, so it just kind of gives them incentive to interact with us, to play a game with us, and to kind of test their skills. And what I like to do is kind of during that game, especially if it's somebody maybe newer to the game, try to show them kind kind of tips or help them with their game as we play, and like kind of like, hey, I saw you did this, let's talk about this. Or how did that, how'd your deck run if they built something brand new? How'd that feel for you? And kind of help them with that. So really that prizing is really up to you as a professor to make sure that you're rewarding your players for coming and you're giving them an incentive to come back. Not only should it be for the prize pack, it should be for the environment you create as well. But those do help in building your community and making sure people are coming. And you'll be surprised, the more you hand out for just people doing good things, the more good things people will do. So,
And to preference on that, we actually had the opportunity to meet our RPC last year, and she specifically told us, like, don't hoard the prize packs. If you run out of the prize packs, that means you're doing well. So don't feel like you have to hoard them just to make sure that you have enough to last, because sometimes they will last and sometimes they won't.
yeah,
But that is something that she told us, that if you run out of prize packs, that means you're doing something good.
yeah, exactly. And you get restocked 4 times a year. So, when they're coming. If you're running low or anything like that, you can kind of gauge and judge how many you should give out and all those kind of things. And vice versa, the attendance of your league and your events dictate how many prize packs you get from Pokemon. So the more attendance you have, the more prize packs you'll get. The more prize packs you give out, the more attendance you'll probably have. So it's a vicious cycle. But it's something it's fun to figure out and kind of do, and just make sure you understand that to give them out and to grow your league is the whole purpose of those, and to really just help with that. So use them. You got them, use them.
And it's very rewarding for some of the players too, because I remember you were talking about beating one of us in a match. We had one of our juniors beat me in a match one night, and they really, really wanted that Pheasantipity EX with the prize pack because they didn't have one. Obviously, kids don't really have a whole lot of money to buy the cards that they need, and they were like, "Oh, I really want this," and he beat me. We went in there. I picked out one prize pack, and it happened to have the Pheasantipity in there, and they were so ecstatic. They were like, "Yes, now I can put this in my deck." So it does help just making little challenges like that for your league as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's the cool thing about being Pokemon Professor, that it lets you give you that creativity to think about, hey, how can I help my league, or how can I help my community, and how can I incentivize people to keep coming. So yeah, like Ashley talked about that story with our junior getting that Pheasantipity out of the prize pack because he practiced and played and wanted to win, and was able to win that game. So and that's kind of like a sense of accomplishment in its own right, to beat one of us, because whether you know it or not, your players do look at you as like an extension of the program, right? Like you're an official Pokemon Professor, like what's going on, what the rules are, and so they look at you as kind of like that staple of the program. So it helps them out to feel accomplished doing those kind of things, and so flex your creativity muscle and get out there and figure out how you can make all your interactions with your league as special as possible, to just have people keep coming back. So I think that's what's super cool about the program, is that you can do so many things to help out players, help out your community, help out the Pokemon program in general grow, to make sure that everybody gets together and enjoys Pokemon any way that they see fit. So let's say that, hey, we're enjoying being a professor. I want to keep doing this. I want to be doing more things. Maybe I want to start staffing regionals, internationals. What do we do then, Ashley? Like how does that work?
So they've recently just changed this, and they have different professor ranks. They have them by colors now. So you can either be red, gold, diamond, or violet. And each one has its own prerequisites that you have to go through. Let's just use the gold rank as an example. The Teenager is 1 year. The certifications you have to have is Professor 101, 201, and 301, plus any other 3 certifications. And then for the activity, it says you have to held a staff role for at least 6 play Pokemon events within the previous 12 months. So the more the higher up it is, the more you have to do.
Yeah, for sure. But there's benefits that come along with these ranks, right? So I think everybody starts off and wants to get to red rank, right? Red rank will actually help you get there, and you'll be eligible for Professor Cups. So those are special cups that Pokemon holds during regionals and internationals. And the professor program holds them. And they're strictly for professors. They usually come with like a really fun format that they play. I think one of them I was reading was like Forget the Middle Child, which was they removed the stage 2 evolutions from all the evolution lines. So you went from basic to stage 2 right away. They removed the stage 1s. So I thought that was pretty cool. And they have fun formats just like that. So things you can put into your cap for your league as well if you want to take those over. As you move into gold, that improves your consideration for regional championship staffing roles. It makes you eligible to become an area mentor. And you can even host Sycamore symposiums, which are pretty cool. That's something new that they just came out with where you can kind of create your own kind of learning session and be able to have professors come to you, and then you can present on that learning on what you thought of as your topic for that learning session. And then as you move on in a diamond, that improves your consideration for international championship staff roles and makes you eligible to become a regional professor coordinator. Past that is Violet, which Violet we don't have too much information on. It does say that there are some, it varies depending on the role of what kind of benefits you get from those. But as you continue on your program journey, as you meet those tenure requirements, you meet those certification requirements, you can definitely level up in your professor journey and do more things within the program. So it really opens up to you. Yes, it is a volunteer role being a Pokemon professor. So a lot of professors are employees of the stores that they work at for their leagues. I am not. I'm a volunteer. So is Ashley. Ashley is also a volunteer. It's a professor program. And what does that mean? Is that most of the time, just being a Pokemon professor, you're not getting paid for it. It's supposed to be coming from your heart, from your love of the game, your love of the community, to be able to do it. So this is doing these ranks and providing these benefits to professors is kind of Pokemon's way of saying, hey, thank you for doing that. And I think another great benefit that you get as being a professor is the professor store. The professor store is strictly for professors, as it says in the name. However, every event that you host, you earn professor points. And then as you collect those points, you can use those points to trade in for cool professor unique items from the professor store. You can get shirts, you can get play mats, deck boxes, pens, promos, which are super cool. Um, all those kind of different things are at the store and more. So it's a small way that Pokemon says thank you for giving your time and for growing the community. Please feel free to use this as you see fit. So um, that goes along with the ranking structure and the other benefits you get from that. So what are your goals, Ashley, as we talk about professorships and things like that? What are your goals looking forward to the new ranking system that Pokemon came out with this um, on your professor journey?
I would love to eventually get all the way up to Violet. It will take a while, but that would be awesome. And my initials stand for gold, so I'm shooting for the gold rank right now. But
Yes.
um I honestly I just want to help grow communities, bring people together through Pokemon, um play in a lot of events, even if it's not just TCG. Like I just started doing VG stuff. Played in my first grand challenge this past weekend. That was super super fun.
Yeah, go
I had
Ashley.
thank you. I had absolutely no idea about competitive VG. I really just started getting into it like last week and still won like 10 out of the 45 battles, so did pretty good. So me learning a different game other than TCG will also help me in the long run trying to get up to these other ranks. And that's something that I want to do because I love all things Pokemon, not just one aspect of it.
Totally. Yeah. And I agree with you. You know, I think the goals of, instead of saying like, hey, I want to reach a certain rank, is I want to be able to do this in the community, right? Like as you said, like you want to start learning VG and the other games because you love all things Pokemon and you want to support that in our league. I think with that is going to come the ranks that you're looking for, right? Because as you look into going to other games, as far as the VG and Go and Unite, you got to get those certifications to be able to do those roles, and then you're going to be able to staff those events and things like that, and it's just going to come with it in time. So I think if you keep your goals as how can you improve your league, your community, you'll improve yourself as a professor, you'll improve on your ranks as a professor, and you'll just be a better shining example for what it should be to be in the professor program. So that's yeah, so that's my goal too. Is that I want to start learning more about Pokemon Go, especially in a competitive aspect. I am getting steamrolled by all the juniors in our league and PvP, and no more. I will. I'm gonna go out there, start grinding, and start catching these Pokemon, and start becoming better. But yeah, I think it's just gonna lead to us opening another avenue of enjoyment of Pokemon in our league, to start hosting other events, to increase our traffic of our league and our attendance of our league, and hopefully becomes, to a point to where maybe one day we'll see a Pokemon Go player from our league competing at Worlds, 1 year down the road, and that'd be amazing to see. So that's kind of like where I'm at, and that's kind of how I view that. So I think, to cut it short, or to finish it off, right? I think the professor program is really for those who have a true love for the community, true love of Pokemon, and just want to see it grow and continue to do good. If you do that, you're going to do really well as being a professor. And I hope that you see that as you continue forward in your professor journey, whether you're just starting or whether you've been here for a while. I really hope that all of your goals you are able to meet. And if you need help with it, definitely feel free to reach out to us. Ashley, do you have anything final you want to say to everybody?
If you want to become a professor and you have the heart, I believe that you can do it. Just put in a little bit of work. Make sure you're doing it for the love of Pokemon, and not just to get all this cool stuff. Because being a professor, you really do have to, since it's a volunteer position, you really do have to have a love of the game. But I think if you have a love of the game and a love for growing the community, you're going to do awesome. Even if you feel like you're not, you just keep going, keep learning, keep improving, and you're going to do great.
100%. So keep playing those games, study up on those resources, those guidebooks, those handbooks. Take your test, and sooner or later you'll be wearing that luscious white lab coat and calling yourself Pokemon Professor. So thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope we helped you out, helped you understand what it is to be a professor. There'll definitely be future episodes that we dive deeper into different roles of professorship. And we can also talk about something maybe that we missed and that you're interested in, or perhaps something that you want to dive deeper on in the professor route, or anything Pokemon whatsoever. So feel free to reach out to us at tmtalkpodcast@gmail.com. Now, once again, that is tmtalkpodcast@gmail.com. Reach out to us on X, on YouTube, any way that you can find us. Please reach out, and we'll definitely want to cover that on the next episode. So great talking to you all again. Have a great day.
We'll see you in the next episode.
You just used TM Talk. I hope it was super effective for you. Whether you're building a deck or building a league, remember, you've got this and we've got your back.
If today's episode boosted your stats, share it with your party. And until next time, keep training, keep teaching, and keep passing that knowledge on.